Two balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. This is way back. Walk the ball. Chris Taylor.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined by DodgerBlue.com writer Scott Geirman. And I hope you're ready for some hot takes, Scott, and not hot takes coming from folks like me and you. Hot takes coming from Andrew Friedman at the GM meetings. Bill Plunkett of the Orange County Register had this quote from Andrew Friedman talking about shortstop options, saying, hey, if Trey Turner doesn't work out for him to come back, if the Dodgers don't sign anyone, he says they, quote, feel good about Gavin Lux at shortstop. This, I know, will be a polarizing thing, Scott. You've dug into the metrics a little bit here. Lux at shortstop. Let me ask this. Does Scott Geirman feel good about Gavin Lux at shortstop?
I feel okay. I feel all right. Not ecstatic. I'd like a more sure-handed defender there. Someone who's more sure with their throws. I'm okay with it. I guess. Like, not really. I'll say no. I'll just say I would prefer he plays somewhere else other than shortstop.
That was amazing to watch you go from I'm okay with it to I feel fine with it to no, actually, you know, the more that I think about it, I don't. It's an underwhelming. I mean, it's underwhelming, but I guess here's where I land. Trey Turner isn't good defensively. So, like, we're not talking about a steep drop-off. I know some people don't love Gavin Lux at shortstop. I'm not advocating that, like, Gavin Lux is going to go win a Gold Glove, even that he's going to be in the top half of the league defensively at shortstop. I just don't think there's a huge drop-off from Trey Turner to Gavin Lux at shortstop. I think Gavin Lux seems to be getting more confident defensively. I know it's not perfect. But again, Trey Turner isn't perfect. The bar we're comparing to is not perfect. Aside from Carlos Correa, none of the shortstops out there are like elite defensive guys. They're all kind of living in the same bucket of league average. And so to me, Lux feels like that. But I think the point that I want to get to on this story is, of course, Andrew Friedman's going to say, we feel fine with Gavin Lux at shortstop, right? Because what he's doing is he's telling Trey Turner's agent, and he's telling Carlos Correa's agent, and Xander Bogaerts, and Dansby Swanson, he's telling all the agents, hey, we're not desperate. We've got a guy in-house that we feel fine about. No. We're not trusting Jacob Amaya to be our shortstop next year. We're not going to put Chris Taylor at shortstop. We have Gavin Lux. Remember him? Top 5 prospect in all of baseball. Was originally a shortstop, all coming up through the minor leagues. We're not desperate. We feel fine. I think that's the real play here from Andrew Friedman.
Yeah, no, I agree. He won't reveal much of anything yet until the market really gets rolling. And, you know, I know you hate me for the chatter about Carlos Correa, but the chatter is definitely out there. Smoke, there's fire. But to Gavin Lux, we really don't know how a lot of these, you know, he'll play out. Defensive metrics are flawed in themselves, but for what they are, we don't know how it'll change with nobody's really talked about the defensive shift being banned. So we'll see how that plays out. He's been pretty solid, I'll say. I'm just hesitant because we've seen him have some errors at second base, and those errors you'd think would be more highlighted at a more premier position at shortstop. Yeah. So that's just where my hesitancy comes in. So that's where I went from, okay with it to maybe to no. It's just that if they have the ability to get someone more sure-handed out there at shortstop, I would prefer that. I liked Lux in the utility role. I think everyone did. I think he played better there, and he's just very athletic, and I think he'd be perfect for a utility role.
Yeah, I think the arm is the issue, right? Because we've seen arm issues for him crop up at second base, so moving him further away seems like it would be an issue. But I do think with the shift, one thing to consider is Gavin Lux is an incredibly athletic player. And so if the shift does go away, what that's going to do, from my perspective, it's going to heighten the need for guys to be able to cover more ground because they can't cover that ground defensively with the shift. And so Gavin Lux, that's one area you would feel probably pretty good about is his range at shortstop. Now, can he make the throw once he gets there? That's the bigger question. But I do agree with you. I'm sure we're going to have people in the comments saying, look at his defensive run save, look at his UZR, look at the defensive WAR. I'm not saying those metrics are bad. I'm just saying I like the word you used. They're flawed. None of them are perfect. Sometimes the best defenders in baseball, you look at their numbers and they're underwhelming. And so I think you got to use the eye test and the defensive metrics in conjunction with one another. And again, let me repeat my headline. I don't think Gavin Lux is a good defensive shortstop. I think he's probably average, maybe slightly below average. But I think compared to the other options defensively, that's fine. The reason I'm okay with Gavin Lux at shortstop is because if you have Gavin Lux, and let's say the Dodgers are like, we're going to splash $30 to $35 million on someone this offseason. if Gavin Lux can't play shortstop, that has to be a shortstop. It has to be Trey, or it has to be Correa, or it has to be Bogarts, or it has to be Swanson. Like, end of story. But if you feel even remotely confident with Lux moving over to shortstop, then all of a sudden the pool of players that you can negotiate with opens up. Now all of a sudden Aaron Judge can be a part of that conversation because shortstop's not a glaring hole. And so that's why I'm okay with Lux, because I think there's a world where like Gavin Lux at shortstop and Aaron Judge in left field is a better alternative than Trey Turner at shortstop and Trace Thompson in left field or something like that. Like, I think there's a combination with Lux at short that allows maybe you to raise the ceiling a little bit. I don't know if you agree or disagree with that perspective.
No, that's a really solid perspective. I was just going to tell you that, for people forget that, for a lot of the thing, I think I pulled up the sample size. Sure, I didn't manipulate the sample size for him. I definitely pulled a large chunk to include some slump time, but since the end of April all the way through August, Gavin Lux had a wins runs created plus of 129. And for a lot of that time, he was one of the Dodgers' most consistent hitters. He had a spot, like a little spurt, I believe before his injury, that we were like, this is it.
Yeah.
He kind of turned a corner and is being matured as a hitter. He's a very huge confidence guy, feeds off of that. A lot of players do. I think he's just one of the, more than most. I think that if you're able to slot Gavin Lux somewhere all the time, that just, adding Trey Turner back just keeps the same core intact. But if you're able to put Gavin Lux somewhere every single day and he has a more consistent sample and becomes the top prospect on field and in the majors like we hoped he would, adding a guy like Aaron Judge or another big bat you know exactly what it does. It makes the Dodgers that much better. And that's an exciting thing to think about. And we really hope that Gavin Lux gets healthy and really gets in a consistent role.
Yeah. I mean, he was a top 20 player in wins above replacement when he got injured with like a month and a half or 2 months left in the season. So like Lux was there. I mean, he was, hitting 300 and I'm not saying he's going to be like a perennial all-star or even an MVP candidate. But if we're talking about a guy that's 3 to 4 wins above replacement and, on his rookie contract still and hitting 300, like, I just think there's value in Gavin Lux that sometimes gets overlooked because the expectations at one point were so high. So let us know what you think in the comments below. Again, I know this is going to be a polarizing topic, Gavin Lux at short, and we're not saying we would prefer Gavin Lux to a Correa or to a Trey Turner. We're just discussing the idea of if Gavin Lux on opening day is the starting shortstop, how do we feel? And I think we're okay. We're okay. I'm not sure we're both as confident as Andrew Friedman, maybe me closer to being that confident than you. But it's not the worst option in the world at the very least. So that's Scott Geirman. My name is Jeff Spiegel. Again, thanks for joining us here. Dodgerheads, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. Please subscribe, ring the notification bell, follow us on social media, DodgerBlue1958, and of course, subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Search for Dodgerheads there. We appreciate you joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day. And of course, go Dodgers.